I was so happy when I um, again was able to locate the brother who originally introduced me to Islam, and we uh, have been spending this whole weekend together here. And I asked him to, let me introduce him to you. And his name is Brother Donald. You know, a lot of them, they know I'm always talking about Brother Donald. And, you know, um, I shudder to think sometime what would have happened if I had never met this brother that brought me to the temple for the first time. And he can also bear witness when I came in, because he was there. He the one brought me. And as I told you all, I wasn't around in 72. I got here at, matter of fact, he took me to Savior's Day, 73. And I don't think he was in the room with us, but he put me in the room with Fatih and some other brothers. He always looked out for me. I guess you could call he was Doc Holliday and I was Wyatt Earp. But anyway, he I mean that in many ways. But anyway, he he was always like family, big brother to me, and I always admired him. And I worked with him. We sold vacuum cleaners together. That's where I met him at, selling vacuum cleaners. So, Brother Donald, I would like you to come up and introduce yourself, and just if some of y'all want to talk to him, you feel free to do so. On the phone and whatnot. Come on up, Brother Donald. Allow some link. All right, this 40 minutes yours. Just adjust the mics.
Okay. There we go. I grew a little bit since you saw me last. Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Well, a little bit of a surprise to me this morning. Hadn't prepared anything to say, but when you come amongst the people who are worshiping the God of excellence, you don't really have to take a lot of time preparing anything to say, because you've spent most of your life being introduced to those principles that govern those kinds of laws and characteristics. We met, as he said, many years ago. I think it was about 30 years ago now. Oh, 40. We better hurry up and move on past that, so we haven't.
Go ahead. Go ahead. I just adjusted that.
All right. And right out of Vietnam, he was. I sidestepped Vietnam, and so many young men like me, with the mentality that I had, was going to jail and so forth. And they were filling up the jails, and they were just tired of sending people to jail, so they allowed me. But at any rate, we met, and I had decided that I was going to learn, I was going to teach, learn and teach in the sales business. And I noticed that he was kind of a different type of young man. He was one of my best salesmen. I wanted to carry him on to some of the other companies that I had moved on to, but he had other things to do. But I noticed that he was incredibly honest, and quite tenacious for success. He would work hard. He would do what he was told, and he wouldn't argue a lot unless he felt that you were wrong. And then he spoke his mind to the point where it sometimes got us both in trouble. But there was some very good and incredibly nice attributes about him that I enjoyed and still do until this day. I used to hear him talk about all those big ideas and things that he was going to be doing and things that he had in mind, and I used to just sit and listen to him. And I learned from my mother and father when I was telling my mother at the age of 14 that I was going to build her a house one of these days. She would look at me and smile, and never would she interrupt me with any kind of words of discouragement. But that smile said many things to me. It was very mysterious things. And I thought I would just to carry that over as he was telling me all the things that he needed to do and he was going to have to do and God was inspiring him to do. So I just smiled and listened politely. I hope he wasn't reading my smile because I really didn't believe very much that he was saying. But as time evolved, I always remember that lesson that says the eyes have not seen, the ears have not heard, nor has it entered into the heart of man what Allah has in store. For those of us who believe and hold fast, for His people, and I must admit that I was happily surprised at how he had moved on and still incredibly, with an incredible tenacity to unfold things that he had always talked about even 40 years ago. I'm telling you, life has a way, life is sweet. It's given to us by Almighty God, the God of excellence. He gave us a body of excellence. And when scientists study it, they study to find that it's a miniature universe. But there are things that, so many things in the journey of life that we run into, we can be just worn down. They change the color of our hair and the maps in our skin. They make us wrinkly, I mean, trying to lead people who have all these different personalities that we encounter on that journey through life. And even as bitter as it is, and we listen to Jesus Christ ask God, how long do I have to drink from this bitter cup? We listen to many of others complain. But the one that makes me laugh was Jonah. Jonah took one look at what he had to do and the people that he had to do it with, and they were in this direction. Jonah took an 80-degree turn, went in the other direction, tried his best to get out of that mission. Well, you know what? I understood, because there's a lot of things that I've attempted to do, and people will change your mind quickly. But to keep on a thing for 40-something years, and you can't do anything but respect and help a person with that kind of tenacity. And with that, my brothers and sisters, may God bless each and every one of you. I love you. I enjoy. You know, they call it, when you bring a person into Islam, they call it your extended family. And I come down here and I see how the family has grown and how the work has grown. I'm just glad they didn't tell me that I had to feed the family, because I had a hard time feeding 4 boys. I would never have made it. But with the name of Almighty God, Allah, the Lord of all the worlds, creator, controller, and sustainer of all that is, ever was, and ever will be. And we take those principles that govern those kinds of attributes, and we do what we can with them. We can go on until death comes to claim us. And then even on the other side, we still don't give up that fight. Keep going. So with that, may Allah bless.
You all have heard me say things many times that you got somebody here that's been knowing me since ever since I was a man. You know, since I was 22 years old.
22, that's right.
Yes. And I'm 62 now. And so if you have some questions about anything about me that you want the truth on, he ain't gonna stand up here and lie for me or nothing else. But you feel free to ask him whatever you wanted to know. Because there's certain things that he said to me that he don't remember, because I asked him about it. Because I didn't pay it no attention at the time. But we was walking across the street when he from that little blue Toyota that you had, and Brother Donald had gave me a message to the black man. And as we was walking across the street, just talking, and he said real low, he said he waited a long time for this. I didn't ask him what he was talking about, and he don't even remember saying it. But I know, just like you know, Allah have, you know, had a job for me. He had plans for me, and he speaks to me whenever he pleases, through whomever he pleases. And for the most part, he's always did it through people that I was close to and that cared about me. And you know, that's one thing I don't have no doubt about, is how this brother feels about me. I mean, you remember, that's why I thought about that movie, Doc Holliday. You remember when Doc was, Wyatt got in a little trouble, and Doc took it up? Yeah. You know, that's the way he was about me. Matter of fact, all of them brothers. And I just, I will always, like I told him, wherever I got a home, he know he got one.
Absolutely.
And you all feel free to question Brother Donald. And if you want to ask him anything about me, you know, that's one of the reasons I'm glad he's here. So you'll know I ain't been lying to you about when I came in the nation or nothing else.
That's right.
Okay. So if you have questions for him, feel free to ask. Unmute your phone. There's people on these phones.
Star 2, moderate, and 7-1, participants on the call.
71 people on the phone right now. Plus you're on the TV and internet.
TV?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
all right.
Go ahead, Brad.
Okay. Well, you know what? Questions. If you have any questions, I really wasn't. I don't mind at all, because if there's anything that my history is involved with and is involved with the Son of Man, I'm willing to just answer the best of my knowledge, because we spent years together from the time that he was 22 years old, just coming home, didn't have a job, and you know, I had plenty of books and stuff that I had to read because they pushed me right into the lead, and my job was to train him. So I got a chance to know him well. I got a chance to work with him. I got a chance to watch him transform from one life way of living, an unprincipled way of living, to one of Islam. So if there's any questions about anything at all that you have to ask, I hope it's not, but feel free. Is there some kind of a button I have to push?
No, they will do it if they have it.
Okay.
You know, but I guess they believe me.
All right. But you know, I did have, we had a situation once that I remember he brought back to my mind as he was talking here. We were spinning off businesses, I put up $3,000 to buy one of those businesses, to get things rolling. And somebody did something else with the money, so I decided he happened to be there, and this was in the 70s. He may not want me to tell this, but he saw the way I was treated, so they decided to give it to somebody a little bit more popular in the circle of the, how they have it sometime in the cliques. But at the same time, I'm wondering what happened to my money. And I think that's where we almost lost him then, because he stood up in the mosque, gave his opinion, and hit the door. And everybody just looked at him, because we'd been around a while, and we'd seen shady characters, and we'd get rid of them if we could. They come and they go, and we don't expect to do anything where there's going to be a perfect environment. But that little incident came back to my mind. We had a hard time with some of the believers that but he was determined that he wasn't going to kill his spirit. He went on to find him another place that he could work without having to work with those kinds of people. But if there's anything that you would like to know from me that I can assist you with about anything about him, I'll be more than glad to attempt that. Yes, ma'am. Alaikum assalam.
I just wanted to ask you,
Oh, is that it?
do you believe that the Son of Man is the Son of Man? That's the question that I have for you.
Now, what was... Okay. Repeat your question again.
I would like to know, do you believe, as all of the followers of the new nation of Islam, do you believe that the Son of Man is the Son of Man?
Do I believe that the Son of Man is the Son of Man? Okay. Your question is, do I believe that the Son of Man is the Son of Man as he say he is? Now, let me tell you something. I have learned in life to take every man for his word of whatever he says he is. Otherwise, I'm playing God. When the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, when Jesus, and we can go back as far back as men have come from saying that they had a message from humanity, from God. And we'll find that there were the populace who had already been listening to previous messengers and prophets, and they ended up many times disputing him and even plotting his death. And sometimes some of them believed that they ended his life and build their premise of their religion on the fact that God gave him instead of them murdering him. So that's the position that I'm in. And I'm in the same position maybe that you and many others are in. I always watch a man's works as well as listen to a man's words. And so far, I have no complaint at all about his works. And I had planned to support him in his work. And all the things that I have seen him do, I see him do with an honesty, integrity, and a tenacity that I wished that I could have had for that long with that kind of consistency. So I learned to watch a person's works, and this is what I was taught. And this is what I believe, been taught all my life. Even before Islam, my Christian mother and father taught me to approach life with those kinds of values. I hope that answers your question. But since I'm not God, and I can't look any further than the sight that he gave me. That's it.
Just a minute, just a moment.
What year?
Microphone. You got the
What?
microphone?
I'll repeat this question.
Okay.
I was just asking, what year did you come into the nation of the unauthorized Muhammad?
The year I came into the nation, I was really 1965. I had started to listen and study some things and contemplate them. It sounded so foreign to me, as opposed to what I'd been. I was going to church, and I come from a family of 11 people, children, mother and father, and we went to church. Whether you had your Sunday suit or your shoes or you went bare feet, we just went to church. And then all of a sudden there was this man. I had many attributes like my mother. My mother was quite she was a religious woman, but she was very nationalistic in her thinking. And when Martin Luther King and all of those guys would come through speaking, I would go through and I would listen to them, and I would get involved in what they were doing. Well, one day Malcolm came through town, and I went in and I listened. And though I'd heard many others, and I'd been, we'd do little things that I could do at the age of 17, 18 years old, I had never heard anybody say some of the things that Malcolm was saying. And it was kind of scary to some people. So I went back home to discuss it with my mother and father. My mother was quite anxious to talk to me about it. My father said nothing. He just looked at me. But they watched me, because I appeared to want to talk about that to everybody that I had come across. But what I was doing, I was going to the people that I thought had some kind of knowledge of what I was talking about. And the first thing that I told my mother is they worship a God called Allah. And I stopped to get some feedback. Nothing. And what I found out later on was that these people, my mother and father, my father was at that time in the lodge. He was a Mason, and my mother was an Eastern Star until the day they died. And so with the plaques and the various other things that I began to look at that my mother and father had around there, I saw Allah's name on those plaques. And then again, I approached him with those same words. But I approached him a little bit different the next time I approached him. And their reaction was a little bit different. So that was my experience in the times that I come into the Nation of Islam. And later on, but at the age of, I think I was 17 when I first heard Malcolm. And as a teenager, they have a hard time pinning you down to tell you anything about life. So I kept rolling for a couple more years, and in 1965, Allah reached and got me. And I'm not going to say that but it's Almighty God that converts. We do not convert anybody to anything. But when God inspires you, I believe that God calls every soul that is born to do what he has for it to do. This is why you're given an attribute. That attribute belongs to God. It belongs to Allah. Some of us call them talents. But that attribute belongs to God, and he lends it to us to fend our way and through our journey through life. And it becomes our way of serving him, ourselves, and our families and humanity. And I believe in that direct order. So that was mine. He gave me a talent, or one of his attributes. And I didn't discover it until I came in the Nation of Islam and I started to sell the paper. And I found that I was amongst the top salesmen. So I says, I know what I'll do with this. If God has given me that kind of strength as my way of serving, then I'm going to professionalize that. I remember this family briefly, called Mr. and Mrs. Davis, Dr. Davis was a dentist. Mrs. Davis was a school teacher. They had a son, and they wanted this son. Of course, Miss Davis would love to have had him teach school, but the father wanted him to take over his dentistry business. And they raised the child, but the child was steady marching to his own drumbeat. And when he grew up, Miles Davis became world-renowned in his own right. And I believe that every child should be approached in the order of, God gave you this. Look into that child's works, see what it is that he loves doing the most and does with ease. Encourage him and push him in that direction. And no more. I want you to be a, you would make a good, is not necessary. God first. And this is what it means by God. Another meaning, I should say, about God first. Because we didn't give them anything. We just simply brought them through the world. And in a sense, they become not ours so much, but God's property, child, man, woman. Hope that answered your question, brother. I hope it didn't take too long. But but any more questions, I'll try and answer it. Hope it's no more that hard, though. I hope it's a little bit easier. So with that, I'm gonna get out of Dodge before somebody changes their mind.
Well, thank you, brother. May Allah continue to always bless you.
Thank you too.
We all stay in touch with each other and don't help each other.
Absolutely. All right.
All right. Okay. You know, I have no doubt, even though I never heard any teachings on it, but I know how grateful the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had to be to that brother that came and told him that there's a man down there teaching something he needed to hear. And you know, if you notice, you know, Brother Donald is very pleasant, you know, and you know, when I first met him, you know, I was raised in Christianity, and you know, so when he started sharing with me a lot of the things that the messenger had taught him, it was a strange thing. My head felt like something was drawing at me right in the middle of my forehead. A lot of you all probably felt that way when you first heard the teachings. And I wanted him to shut up because it was frightening me the way I was feeling. And at the same time, I wanted him to keep talking. You know, but because I had never heard nothing like that before. I didn't realize that my mind was finally being set free. That's what was happening. I was finally thinking outside of slavery. You see, and so you know, you don't let that feeling of anxiousness or whatnot frighten you away from the truth. Go on and listen to the truth, and you will discover that that's peace of mind that's being brought to you too. And so I just I wanted you to meet the brother who first introduced me to Islam, and he knows me from way back when. And so, you know, as I told you, you know, I had nothing to hide from you.